So if you're watching this, chances are that we are working together and you are buying a home. So thank you so much for choosing me. I wanted to make this video so that even after we've gone over the buying process, you can go back and listen to what I have to say, because I know it can be really overwhelming and there's a lot of information. So, and if you know me, you know I've given you a lot of information about it, but I'm a process person, I'm a detail person, so I'm here to help explain it so you don't have to worry about it. All right, so thanks for selecting me again. First step is to find a lender. I do have several lenders that I work with who are excellent, but you are entitled to look for whoever you want, but you really need a pre-approval. I'm making this video as a Pennsylvania licensed realtor in 2021, and basically it's very important to have a pre-approval. As a matter of fact, a lot of homes you can't even view or take a tour of if you are not a qualified buyer, because in COVID times they really want you to have a serious intent to buy the home. And if you can't show that you're pre-approved, you're not going to buy it probably. So next step is the buyer consultation, which either we've already done or we're going to do, but I may be sending this out in advance. So if it is in advance, here's explanation number one. So first things first, the consultation, I'm going to basically go through everything that you're looking for. And I may even ask you in a text or an email to send me your top 5 things that are must-haves for your next home, or, things that, are highly desirable. Next, I want the top 5 deal breakers that you absolutely don't want. And a lot of people are like, well, what could I not want in a home? Those people are first-time home buyers and they don't know that, there are quite a few things you might not want. You might not want to be near railroad tracks. You might not want to be on a busy double yellow line street that's fast. You might not want to be near, who knows what, power lines. I don't know. You might want more yard or no yard because you don't want to mow it. So, top 5 must-haves, top 5 deal breakers. Text me or email me, and then we'll go over them together. Then we're going to literally use the multiple listing service, which you'll probably hear me say MLS like 50 times, which is confusing, and I apologize, but that is literally the official site that as a realtor I pay for to know exactly what's on the market, exactly what's coming soon, which the public cannot see, as well as exactly what, is under contract or pending and just removed. Unfortunately, a lot of the top sites, Zillow, Realtor.com, etc., are not up to date. The reason being, if they're not up to date, you're still interested in that property, you can click on it and contact them and they get a lead, even if that's not the property you want. So I get it. So we are going to enter things into a very particular system, and it is literally an art form. So we want to find exactly what you want. You can go by square footage, bedrooms. Is it detached? Is it a condo? Is it a flat? Is it a twin? You can literally pick everything, even what schools you'd like to search by. So it's my job to help you plug that in, show you either text, together, email, exactly what homes there are on the market. And in this day and age, you can, especially if it's new on the market, we're going to move pretty fast. So we want to quickly decide which ones are the top 5 homes we want to see. I have shown people 8 homes in a day. I have shown people 1 home in a day. It really depends on your schedule, what works for you, and how on a mission you are to either rule it out or put it on your list of homes. So we want to try to see the top 5 though, because if they're your top 5, they might be someone else's top 5, and I want to get you in there and I want to help you decide, okay, do you want to put in an offer? Then if we get to that point, or when we get to that point, because we all know it's coming, we're going to fill out the paperwork to put in an offer. There is quite a bit of paperwork. I hopefully make it painless. I go over it with you. I'll explain each piece. In this day and age, if you're a person who doesn't want me to go over it with you, print it out, explain each piece and sign it. Of course, we can electronic signature it through DocuSign or dotloop. That's really up to you and your location. That way you're still able to, technically put in an offer even if you're in another state or country. Who knows? And the same with touring. I can do virtual tours where I make the appointment, I go, and we can FaceTime with approval from the listing agent, the home, or I can take a video and send it to you. Totally, again, whatever's going to work for your schedule. So we've seen the top 5 homes. We've decided to put in an offer. We've gone through the process of the paperwork, hopefully painlessly. And I will explain it to you because there's a lot of things that we can negotiate with in this time of the market where, July 2021, it's a seller's market, but it is starting to even out a bit. There's more on the market all the time. So what we can say is, all right, yes, price is a number one concern. But there are a lot of other terms that we can, use in our offer to make our offer more desirable. So I will call the listing agent of the property you'd like to put an offer in and find out, what does this seller want? What are they looking for? What's their time frame? Do you have any other offers? Can you tell me how much those offers are for? They often don't do that, by the way, but you never know. I always believe everything is worth asking. So in our agreement of sale, and I will send you the consumer guide to the agreement of sale, that will help you understand exactly what we fill out and why. We'll need to check out the seller's disclosure, make sure there's nothing in the home that the seller has written that is a deal breaker for you. And we will need to initial and sign that. We'll also need a buyer financial information form, which is going to literally prove, hey, we have this money, we have these assets, this is why we can buy the home. Providing that is literally like giving evidence of your pre-approval and proving that your offer is strong. In the offer, there's also an earnest money deposit, which you will have to write a check, or you can get a certified check from your bank for whatever amount is appropriate to show that you are serious about the property and that you have skin in the game, basically. This deposit is refundable if for some reason, the deal should fall through, as long as we make sure that we check the box making it refundable. But it can take up to 30 days. So as the buyer, you have a lot of protections. There is the period of time where there are inspections. There is, 10 days after the agreement of sale is signed by both parties. As the buyer, it's your responsibility to set up an inspection, and the seller has to give us property access. There are many types of inspections. I always recommend that you elect them all and then choose which one you really want to do, but you have the opportunity to do them all. In this market, some people are waiving inspections. I never recommend that. We can put at the end of the contract that you'd like to do inspections for information purposes only. It really only makes sense to protect yourself, that there could be something seriously wrong with the home that you may not know about. And as obviously things can still happen even if you've gotten the home inspected. There may be things that you cannot see and that your inspector cannot see, but we absolutely have to make sure, right? Like, at least go with the inspector and see what we can do. After that, I definitely think when we put the offer in, it can be a little daunting, and there is often a waiting game, unless of course there's many multiple offers. Negotiations are, if there aren't a lot of offers, there's often negotiations. Whenever I'm selling a home, I do try to keep the lines of communication open between the buyers to figure out, and I do ask for highest and best offers. Obviously, you want to put in your highest and best, but other things can be negotiated. For instance, seller's assist, like, if you don't have money for closing costs, or if you need money for something to come back, the seller, would go up in price and then give you money back. I can explain that in better detail when we're together. I always try to be honest, and I always give, my highest and best, really, advocacy for you, as a buyer and as a seller. I mean, that is my job, my fiduciary duty to you. So honesty, absolutely. As the person who represents you, I am loyal to you. If you would like my advice on what to do, I will absolutely give it to you. But please know that you are in the driver's seat. You are the one who's buying the home, and I want you to have what you want, in the time frame that you want it, for the price that you want, in the condition that you want, of course. And that's the ultimate goal. However, it's interesting because it can be very stressful, especially until all parties have signed the contract. A real true negotiation doesn't mean that we meet in the middle. A real true negotiation means that, both parties feel happy when they walk away from the table. So I try to make sure that everyone is included in that process as far as my buyer or my seller. And, I'm not really worried about the party that I'm not representing, as long as I'm doing my fiduciary duty, being honest and having integrity and full disclosure. We're doing good. So let's say, hey, we've been through all this. Woo, woo, offer gets accepted. Yay! So what are the next steps? I will send you a timeline of exactly what we need to do, depending on when the closing date is. Some people need to close in 30 days. Some people have 60 days. Some people have 90 days. Some people are like, So, but it all has to be in the contract. And if it's in the contract, it's gold. It's true. It's done. Unless we change the contract, which we can do with other contracts. Another story. All right. So, within 5 days, unless otherwise specified, you have to drop off the earnest money deposit after you're under contract. You don't have to give them money until you're under contract. Once you drop that off, they will hold it in an escrow account, and it does get applied towards the purchase of your home. If for some reason the deal should fall apart, you will get that money back after a certain amount of time. It's, I believe, around 30 days in the contract. Sometimes it's faster. It depends on who you're working with. So after that, after again, you've signed, both parties, the agreement of sale, you have 10 days from the date of the signing to do all the inspections that you wish to do. And inspections in Pennsylvania run around $500. If you're doing the home inspection, radon, you can add more. Termites, you can add more. You can test the water, you can test the septic if it's a private septic. I don't think you can test the public septic, and you don't want to. But you've got lots of inspections you can do. Then I want you to figure out what you want to do, get it scheduled. We'll confirm that we have property access from the seller at that time. In this day and age, it is, again, COVID times. A lot of people are working from home. So sometimes we do have to deal with the seller being home or being unable to leave the home, in which case we'll work with it. After the inspections are done, let's say there are some things that are concerning. If we have written inspections or information purposes only, there is nothing else to do. We don't need to negotiate that. We already agreed that we weren't going to. In the agreement of sale, we could also say inspections are information purposes only up to $5,000. I have written that if there are concerns about foundation, stucco, roof, major items, because I don't want you As the buyer, it's not protecting your best interest to get you in there and say like, we got the home and we waived inspections. And oh, by the way, it needs a new roof and a new hot water heater and a new, it all adds up to be too much. And you should be able to try to negotiate that. And a lot of sellers have been happy with that so far. If you are negotiating in the inspection period and you put forth us, send the seller what we would like done or a credit that we may want, would they be open to that, or however we word it, however I word it. If they don't respond, the deal is dead. Like I believe it's 5 days after we notify them. If they do respond and they say no, we have a choice then. Do we say, okay, we'll accept it as is? Or do we say, okay, we're out of the contract, see you later. Good luck selling your home, because now you have to disclose what we found, and the next person is going to get a probably much lower price. Unfortunately, that does happen, but for your protection, it's really up to you. You have to be willing to say, do I want this home so badly that I don't mind repairing this myself and I'm not getting a credit for it? Or is it too much, and do I want the right to walk away because I'm already overpaying in this seller's market? These are the hard questions, guys, and we will deal with it if we have to, because honestly, buyer's remorse is a terrible thing too. So I often need to prepare you guys to say, hey, in this market right now, July 2021, I don't want you walking away saying, hey, I paid way too much for this house. Oh my God, this is horrible. Now what? Now what do? I don't have the money to fix it up because I spent everything I had to buy it. So yes, we do need to make the hard decisions, and we do need to accept, what happens if we say, this is what I really want. I really want this home, and I can live with that. It does even out at some point when you sell it, when, your rates are low, that's really good. And it's still, a beautiful thing to be a homeowner. But we do have to weigh, is this really the best thing for the family, for our future? So again, hard questions, folks. So we can also ask the seller either for the repair, a reduction in purchase price, or a credit, or a reduction in closing costs. I mean, you can add that. You can ask for that instead too. So let's say they say, okay, and the deal's moving forward. Next step, title company is going to do all their research. As the buyer, you choose your lender and you choose your title company. If you don't know of anyone, I certainly have recommendations. So do the lenders. I work with some really great ones who don't charge as much, which I think is wonderful and a wonderful service for my clients. If in our contract we had an appraisal contingency, which an appraisal contingency just basically says, if for some reason the home does not appraise for the amount that we bought it or above, we would like the option to get out of the deal. Right now, it is hard to get an appraisal contingency accepted because homes prices obviously are up, and appraisals are up too. I mean, I have to say, but if you or your realtor, on the seller side is looking at the comp saying, oh man, there's no way this house is going to appraise for what we have it on the market for and what they're offering, we're not going to accept an appraisal contingency. Then as the buyer, if there is no appraisal contingency and the appraisal comes back and it is lower than what you are offering, your mortgage company will not mortgage the amount that you offered unless you have the cash to make up the difference. If you have questions about that, ask me, because that's important. I would obviously be there to advise you and say, if you don't have the money, we need to do the appraisal contingency, and that could cost you this house. You may not get it. But at the same time, it's protecting you, which is really important, because you don't want to have to come up with that money if you don't have it. And if you don't have it and you're gambling and you're hoping that the appraisal is going to come in and then it doesn't, you literally can be sued for the sale of the home and the difference. And it's not worth it. Okay, so let's say the appraisal comes back and it's perfect and all is well, and we move to the next step. The next step is, guess what? The title company is going to do all their job. We get everything done and we make it to closing. They will send us a title commitment. You'll get a mortgage commitment. You will then get, the closing disclosure and the preliminary alta. Those documents will say, hey, we made it to closing, almost there. And just a few days before closing, they will give you the exact numbers of, what your certified check needs to be to bring for your down payment and your closing costs. It's always important, and I recommend that you get that check for a little over what they're asking, because it's much easier at the day of closing to give you a refund than it is for you to run back out and get more money, which is, that's a bad thing if that happens. So other than that, guys, you're home free. I'm going to take pictures. I'm going to buy you some champagne. I'm going to bring you some presents because you just bought yourself a house. And I do pride myself on my communication skills. I will keep you notified throughout the entire process, at least once a week. There are a couple lulls where things slow down, but I always check in just to see how you're doing, if you have any questions, if you have any concerns. The day of closing, we do set up a walkthrough, usually about an hour before closing, depending on where closing is compared to the property. And as the buyer, we go in and make sure that the property is in broom swept condition per the contract and that they've gotten all their stuff out. What happens if you get to walk through and they haven't gotten all their stuff out, or things are in really bad shape? Well, ultimately, as a realtor, I don't want the deal to fall through, but I would never recommend that you buy a home that they've either, left messed up or damaged. You can walk away from the settlement table. Obviously, you still have to show up and tell them that there's a problem and that we can't do it. And there is paperwork that we will need to fill out. Or you can delay it and give them time. If you have that time, that can be really stressful because here you are packed up and ready to move. And, it has not happened to me. That doesn't mean that it might not or can't to my clients. But, I really think it's really rare. And I think it's nothing to stress about. Like, if we get to the walkthrough and that happens, we will handle it. And we can also decide, hey, you know what? Rhonda's going to call 1-800-JUNK-LUGGERS and get in here and get people to, clean this place out for us. Or, a person to come and repair it. So it really depends on the thing. So last but not least, I also always recommend that you change the locks the day of closing when you move in. Not because, anybody's going to try to come back in, but it's just peace of mind, starting new. And if someone else does have the key out there that's not related to the transaction, you don't even have to worry about it. So that's my story, guys. That's the buy process. If you have any questions, call me, text me. I'm always here, and if I don't answer, I will get right back to you. But my number is 267-424-5985. That's 267-424-5985. Realtor Rhonda, I really appreciate you watching me, and I look forward to working with you. Bye.